All right, so that brings us into our final session of the day, which I have the honor of giving myself. And it's very appropriate to kind of bring things to a close with a note about how we can help by putting 3D printing to use to help with the coronavirus pandemic. We're obviously in a very interesting situation here that brings a lot of difficulties, especially, with the medical workers that are putting their lives at risk to help keep the rest of us safe. And unfortunately, there has been a critical shortage, as you're all no doubt aware, of some of the necessary medical supplies that we need to keep those medical professionals on the front lines safe. And it has been so profoundly amazing to watch the global community come together to help address that need. And I think it really presents a powerful lesson in how much 3D printing can be useful in situations where you need rapid solution development and deployment in a situation where you just don't have the time to go through the usual process of prototyping and production the more traditional way. The speed at which people have been able to come to the aid of these medical workers and people needing these medical supplies has been wonderful. Jen shared a number of these things in her presentation. I have a couple of samples to show you. There's a number of different things you can do to help if you have a 3D printer and want to help with this. She talked about the ear savers. So here's an example of one of those. It's such a quick and easy print. You can print these in a matter of minutes using a variety. I printed this in TPU, so it's nice and flexible, but you don't need to because it's so thin that you could print this out of PLA or whatever material you have on hand, and it would still work fine. And it might not seem like a big thing, but I'll tell you, I've heard from so many medical professionals that have to wear these masks all day long, it can get really uncomfortable. So something as small as printing out a bunch of these and donating them to your local hospital or clinics or other medical workers can be a real help, to make their days a little bit, less painful and get them through the day. So this is one thing that you can produce really easily. And we also moved into face shields. So Jen talked about this as well. These are also very easy to produce. There's a number of designs out there. Now I will point out that some of the designs I've seen out there have kind of an open frame where this part up here is actually open on top. And I know why the designers did that, because it makes it easier and quicker to print because you don't, it doesn't use as much material. I got to say, personally, I shy away from those designs because when these are worn, it leaves an opening on the top here. And so if you're a medical professional, you're working with a patient, and you sort of bend forward, there's an open path where something could come in. So I prefer the closed designs like this. This is a design that comes from Budman Industries and IC3D. This is an NIH approved, that's the National Institute of Health. It's an NIH approved design, which you can find on the NIH site. That's one of the links that we'll share as the follow-up to this session. So you can print these very easily. It doesn't take long to print, depending on your settings. You're talking about 45 minutes or less to print one of these face shield brims. The shield itself, you can either source the materials just in sheets of various types of plastic. You can use clear PETG or polycarbonate and cut it yourself. Some people are cutting these with, just scissors and blades. If you happen to have access to a laser cutter, that's a great way to cut them. But there's also a company called Paper Gala that has retooled their manufacturing facilities to crank these out in pre-cut forms specifically for this design, which is another reason I like this design. So you can buy 10 packs of these plastic shields, pre-cut with the holes in the right spot to mount onto this specific Budman IC3D design. And that's another link that we'll include. It's papergala.com, but we'll include that link with the follow-up email. And so you can buy the sheets, you can print the brims, and then you just need a little bit of adhesive padding to go in here to make it more comfortable for the wearer. And we put an elastic strap. I'm using a 1/4-inch elastic strap, and I'm using a barrel lock here. That's optional. You could just tie this, but I like that because that makes it adjustable. And then you have a face shield, and you can donate these to medical facilities and medical workers in your area. The face shields come with a protective plastic film on them. So this one is assembled just so I could show you, but the way we've been delivering these is unassembled. So we put together the brim here with the padding and the elastic, but then we just send them the sheets still in the packaging so that they can take off the protective layer and assemble the shields on site so that we know that they're clean and ready to use. And then we are also working on 3D printable respirator masks. Now, this is something that there's been some debate about. Is it effective? Is it safe for people to be 3D printing respirator masks? I can't say that I have any definitive answers. What I can tell you is that I have been extensively involved with a very impressive team, which started off with a group from University at Buffalo out in New York, collaborating with some of our e-NABLE volunteers and a number of other industry professionals. And it's grown into a group of about 50 people who are meeting every other day now. We've had about 20 meetings so far. And this is a team that includes quite a few medical professionals and other industry experts, including folks that are experts with filtration materials and diagnostic testing and all sorts of other areas that are bringing really important expertise to this design process. And so we have come up with a design for a 3D printable respirator mask that builds upon the already very popular Montana mask design that some of you might have heard of. We have made what we feel are some very important improvements to it. We're printing these in a TPU flexible material, so it's a nice and flexible mask, which means that it fits really nicely to your face. It creates a really nice seal on the face. We've done a lot of testing on this mask, which is still ongoing, but that testing has found the fit to be very effective so far, as long as you're using the right size. We're designing this mask right now in 6 different sizes so that it fits everywhere from very, very petite size faces all the way up to extra large. And so the 3D printed mask itself, the body is printed in TPU. There's a frame insert that you can see that goes on the inside. That's printed in a rigid material like PLA. And you just press that in there with 2 sheets of filter material. We're using a MERV 15 rated filter material, and we're using 2 sheets of that. That is rated actually higher than the N95 material that's used for N95 masks. And our testing has confirmed that we've actually had lab testing done, and they've shown this filter material to be 97% effective so far in the way that we're using it. So far our testing results have been very positive and encouraging. We've actually just submitted this design to the FDA, and they're in the process of reviewing it, and hopefully we'll be issuing an emergency use authorization for this soon. So while we're not in a position to make any kind of official guarantees, we can't say that this is a NIOSH certified or anything like that device, but based upon anecdotal evidence, the testing that we've done so far, and the input from all of our medical professionals that are in this working group, we do feel confident that at the very least, this design is a heck of a lot better than nothing. And that is unfortunately what a lot of medical professionals are facing right now, is just not being able to get masks. I mean, they're being told to wear the same mask for a week on end, which is just not good. So this is a reusable mask that can be disinfected using a number of different methods that we are documenting and sharing with them, along with the instructions for this. And we are continuing to refine and improve this design. And so we're in the process of setting up a website right now for this that'll have all the documentation and details, links to the files, information about the testing results, how you can get involved, etc. This is definitely a use at your own risk thing, and these will all be distributed with that disclaimer. But what we are doing is we're establishing facilities in the New York area for centralized collection of these devices so that people who are 3D printing these can send them to a centralized location where they will have quality checks done to make sure that they were printed with good quality, that they don't have any kind of defects that would affect, play into their effectiveness. Make sure that they are properly assembled and sanitized as well as possible, packaged properly, and then distributed along with the necessary instructions and the proper fitting guidance. So we're trying to bring that whole QA and consistency, to the process that we put around this, and not just having anybody make them willy-nilly, if you will. So that's it's been a tremendous effort, and it's been really quite something to be a part of. One of the folks on that team in particular, who's part of the faculty at UB, made the comment that in his 46 years with the university, he has never seen anything like this, with a community of such talented people coming together to get so much done so quickly. And that's certainly been my experience. It's just been amazing to be part of. But again, going back to what I said at the beginning, I think it just is a really great example of how powerful 3D printing combined with community-based collaboration and volunteerism can be. When you put those ingredients together, we can really make amazing things happen that can affect the lives of people around the world. So I think it's a really nice note to end on, and I encourage all of you who have 3D printers in your homes or in your organizations to think about getting involved and helping to print some of these ear savers, face shield, maybe even dabbling with the masks. There's a lot you can do to have an impact until, you know, other aspects of manufacturing can catch up to this demand. So that's my story on what we've been working on for PPE. And please stay tuned to our blog site, 3duniverse.org, as well as the e-NABLE hub that we shared earlier and the enablingthefuture.org site. We'll be sharing more information about our ongoing work in developing PPE and how you can help out with that.